Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thurman Allen Brunson. I'd like to welcome you to IntelliStress, brought to you by CalendarWriters.com. I'm glad that you could come out tonight and sort of sit down and then enjoy what I have to say. I'd like to start off with something someone said to me a little earlier, just off the top of my head. They said, Thurman, you're a burning sensation. So I said, I smiled. I said, thank you for saying that. But hold it. I know I'm 98.6 degrees like everybody else, but don't go no further than that, please, So he smiled and he said, thank you. I said, you're welcome. Now, tonight, you're going to enjoy the program tonight because we're going to talk about something very important, something that affects everybody all over the world in our daily lives, and that is on-the-job stress. On-the-job stress. Now, everybody has had a job at some point in their life, if they're 18 or over, and they know what it's all about. They know what it's like to work with people with all different kind of attitude. I've had a few jobs. I've been with people, and I've worked with people. I've been to the Army, where I was stationed with many young men like myself, where there's a lot of stress involved. I also worked on jobs in factories and so forth, where people have different attitudes. They have their own problems, and sometimes they bring their problems to their job, and it affects other people. Now, the scenario tonight that I want to sort of convey to you is about on-the-job stress and another problem, social problem that we're having, called alcoholism. A lot of people, how many people out there know someone who is an alcoholic or someone that you work with who is an alcoholic? Probably a lot of people out there. But anyway, it's a problem. A growing problem. It has been a problem for many, many years, and a problem that we just can't seem to solve. You got a gas station on every corner, and you got a bar or a nightclub on every corner. And then you go in the store, and then you can buy your liquor and so forth. But that's the status quo. I'm not arguing with that at all, because evidently that's what makes the world go round. But what I'm saying is controlling our alcohol consumption, controlling our attitude when we're on the job. Here's the scenario, tonight's scenario. Mr. X, let's say I'm Mr. X. I go to work one day, and I have an attitude. Now, I'm not a drinker. I don't drink. Maybe a beer now and then. And but this particular day, I go to work, and I have an altercation at work because another alcoholic has had a problem and confronts me. So I says, okay, well, I'm sorry about your problem and everything. I hope things get better for you. And then, as fate might have it, I leave the job and I go home and my furnace shuts down. Boom, I have to pay to get my furnace turned on. So my cash is short, right? So I'm thinking about, well, where am I going to get the money to have another furnace put in? So I'm worrying and worrying. I go to work the next day, and my boss tells me, well, we have to lay you off because of a complaint against you, and that you had was giving one of the other employees a problem. Just like that. Nothing I could say, right? How many people that has happened to? Nothing you could say, but you just laid off. They give you your pink slip and goodbye, so long. Okay. So I goes home. I'm mad as all get out. Mad at the wife, mad at the kids. We can't get along. So I goes out to the bar. Something I don't usually do, right? So I go to the bar and, give me a double of scotch, or give me a double of whiskey, give me a double of anything, So I'm drinking and I'm drinking. Whoa, I get plastered. Tie one on, So I goes home and starts arguing again at the wife and kids. Okay, this becomes a habit. I don't have no job. I've got to get the furnace turned on. So, what can I do? This is a new thing to me. I goes back to my local bar. Gets plastered again. Come home, same old thing. Over and over and over. So my wife, kids, they're getting ready to go. Say, we can't go through this anymore. She's arguing, she's tired of arguing. So now we stop right there. What could I have done? What was my alternative? My thinking. Why didn't I do something else other than what I did? Because now I'm facing broken homes and a broken family life because of the decision that I made. I made the decision to solve my problem by going to the bar and getting plastered. So plastered where I can't think, can hardly walk or drive. Trying to shake the problem, trying to get rid of this irresistible impulse that's got me like a straitjacket. Right? So how many of you have gone through this? Now I'm talking about experience. This is things that people know about. How many of you have went through it? And how many have made decisions and then later thought about it and said, I could have made a better decision. And things would have been different if I had made a better decision. I could have, after I got my pink slip from the job, I could have said, well, I could have explained things and said, well, it wasn't my fault or whatever. But that wouldn't have did no good because I know that the person has seniority over me. So I know his word goes. So I said, well, okay. Now, I could have said, all right. I said, I know that I'm getting laid off or what have you, but could you do a favor for me? Could you give me a good recommendation? I could have asked for a good recommendation. I could have explained, I need my family, I need another job. And I could have sat down on that level and talk to my boss. And then he might have said, well, okay, I'll give you a good recommendation. I just said you got laid off for other reason and I won't go into it. You know, a lot of employers are like that. A lot of employers will help you. You know, they have to go through standard procedures, but they will help you if you talk to them like you should talk to them. You know, a lot of people, they'll set or set, they'll get mad, like all of a sudden upset, with no thought to communication and communicating with that person. See, usually the people who are managers, supervisors, and foremen and so forth, they have been trained. They have been trained to communicate. And when you communicate, and they're looking for something, they're looking for people who can communicate. And they want to help those people. So now I could have made a decision to do that. And then go home and tell my wife, I got laid off from the job, but my employer, he's going to give me a good recommendation for another job. And I should have another job in a few days. So I goes out and put in my applications and so forth, and boom, I get the job. But not this other guy, not this other way of thinking. See, you got two ways. You got what you call your failure, your successful self, your failure self. And that failure self, you're always competing with that failure self because you got to get out there and compete. That failure self is competing against you. Okay, that failure self causes you to fail on your job and then replaces you. See, that's how great yourself is. Yourself is not only you, but yourself are people you know, first your immediate family, your friends, the people that you work with, and so forth. This is yourself that goes out into the world, and then it's called your remote self, which is not close to you, but very distant from you. But yet, we still say that is our self. And that self works to take from you and give to. You ever heard of that, take from Peter to pay Paul? That sort of thing. That's how that self works. You know, you lose and somebody else win. You know. So you have to deal with yourself. You have to think. You have to know that irresistible impulse. This reminds me of something. A friend of mine, I told him, I said, you know, don't get angry so quick, because that person that's getting angry and that person that's ready to confront someone is his own worst enemy, because that confrontation might result in injury or death or something else. So if you're going to lead somebody, if yourself is going to lead you into damage, danger, and destruction, then that's the self, that's that failure self that you have to watch out for and that you have to listen for so that you can make your own decisions. When I elected to go to the bar and just get drunk to solve my problems, I was listening to that failure self. But then again, you have to look at it like this. Alcoholism. Okay, where does alcohol come from? We're talking about hospitals, clinics, science. You know, they use alcohol to, you know, for germs and things like that. So alcohol is here to stay for medicinal purposes. So if you look at alcohol from a medicinal purpose, just like marijuana, they say marijuana is for medicinal purposes. Okay, maybe so. But we're talking about alcohol. We're talking about alcohol controlling your thoughts rather than you controlling that feeling of that medicinal feeling. See, you got the drunk feeling and the radical feeling. You got the mellow feeling, and you got the medicinal feeling. Now, each feeling you had, especially the medicinal feeling, that's the feeling that you really have to pay attention to if you want to control your alcohol. First, you got to say to yourself that I'm drinking alcohol for medicinal purposes because I have a problem. So I'm drinking this alcohol for medicinal purpose. And you have to think medicine and medicinal. So your consciousness can work that way. And that failure self that I was talking about that used to get drunk when you was drinking that alcohol said, hey man, let's get just drunk and run out there in the street and carry on. But now you thinking medicinal, and that failure self is saying, okay, then we're gonna think that way. So then you got that failure self and that successful self working with each other. It understands that sort of thing. So it's all about how you think when you're controlling your alcohol. When you drink alcohol, the first thing you ought to think about is, I'm going to control my alcohol. I am not going to argue. I am going to be a listener. I am not going to be too talkative. And I am going to be an understanding person. And I am going to be watchful for my failure self and my destructive self. And I am going to control that self, and I'm not going to let that self lead me into confrontation, bad confrontations with others. You have to say these things to yourself. You have sometimes get in the mirror and say them to yourself. If something happened already, happened, you know. But, you know, it's like a mantra. You want to, you know, it's like meditation. You want to say this over and over and over. Each time you want to sit down, you want to look at your alcoholic drink. And you want to say to that alcoholic drink, you know, I'm the boss. I'm going to control this. You know, this is for medicinal purposes, so I can get myself straight. You see, you have to. This is what we call self-talk. I'm not talking about out loud now. I'm talking about you're talking to yourself. You're thinking to yourself. This is what you're thinking. And this is how you want to deal with that alcohol problem. So that when you do go on the job and you got people with bad attitudes or people that, you know, they have all kind of attitude that might be adverse to you or make you feel bad or what have you. So, and believe me, like I said, there are all kinds of people. And, you know, some people, they don't like, especially when they're drinking alcohol, they don't want to be wrong about anything. You know, you can't tell them they're wrong. If you try to tell them they're wrong, you're going to argue. And you know that can lead to confrontations or whatever. So everybody can't handle their alcohol. Alcohol controls most people who drink it. Because when you drink it, you feel elated. You feel good. You feel like you want to do things. You feel like you want to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. You're sitting in the house, which you ordinarily do, and you start drinking, you want to go out and enjoy yourself. Well, nothing is wrong with wanting to enjoy your life, wanting to live. And this is what alcohol gives to you, a sense of, I want to live, I want to enjoy life, I want to do things. I want to do things maybe that I've never done before. But yet, alcohol can be a total freedom. Alcohol gives you a sense of freedom, but then it can be a total freedom. So, if you drink alcohol, and I know a lot of people drink alcohol, and you have problems drinking. I'm not talking about the people who do not have problems with alcohol. We're talking about the people who do have problems with alcoholism and how they should think about drinking alcohol. So, I'd like to thank you for being so kind to sit down and listen to this program tonight. And I hope that I have said something that will help you if you do drink alcohol. Now, I'm not trying to be better than anybody else because I'm an occasional drinker. I drink a little beer, and maybe when I go out I might drink a little wine or something like that. But I am careful not to let the alcohol control me. Now I have did many things. Especially when I drink alcohol. If you especially the fellows out there know, you drink alcohol, you're going to start flirting with the girls. And all sorts of things because you got that sense of freedom like I was talking about. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a nice time and enjoying yourself. But it's your attitude, the way you conduct yourself, and the way you behave with others while under the influence of alcohol. And like I say, you don't want to drive. That's for sure. You don't want to drive when you're drinking alcohol. But saying that is like saying one thing and saying another. So I would like to thank you again, and I would like to special thanks to someone very special to me, and they know who they are, and she know who she is. I'm sure everybody knows by now. You can't keep a secret in this little town. Okay, until the next program, this is Thurman saying peace out, be careful, and may you have a long, prosperous life. Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank Mr. Kevin MacLeod for his music arrangements for this program, and everyone else who's involved in the making of this program and IntelliStress. And I'd like to remind you about IntelliStress, the IntelliStressors. Right now, we're having some technical problems. Maria, our AI, she haven't been working lately on IntelliStress, but we're making some adjustments right now, and we want to have her back to work so you can enjoy the game as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and good night.